The Hills Have Eyes is a 1977 horror film directed by Wes Craven. This is Wes Craven's second feature film after Last House on the Left, which definitely has mixed reviews, and so does this one. Both of those films have definitely the independent, kind of grindhouse, low budget experience. Last House on the Left definitely being a little bit more so than this one. This one definitely picks up a little bit on the budget, you can tell. But both are definitely, much less quality, much lower budget, much more guerrilla filmmaking than A Nightmare on Elm Street, which came out soon after. I really have a good time with this film. I'm going to be reviewing the four of them, this one and the sequel to this one, and then the remake and the sequel to the remake. And Wes Craven, specifically about this one, does a really good job with it. I feel that this feels very much like a drive-in grindhouse movie. It's got, the sound design, the opening score to this film and the music that they play, with the nighttime mountain scenes when the credits are rolling and everything, just are brilliant. The music is brilliant, and the music just goes with it. It has that vibe going for it that really, really makes this grim and grime, and you can tell that you're going to be uncomfortable watching this picture. It's not like over the top. It's no video nasty. It's no exploitation. Well, too much anyway. It's not a hardcore exploitation film. Of course, you have some like rapes and stuff, but it doesn't go overboard with it. It's not an absolute gross out banned film kind of thing. I'm not sure if this was banned anywhere. I don't think it was, but you can't quote me on that because maybe it was somewhere at some time. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Basically, what we have going on here, for those who don't know, is this family's on a road trip through the desert, and they get a flat tire and their car breaks down and they're kind of stranded somewhere, and they end up being kind of ambushed, in a sense, by these weird people that are supposedly mutant. I don't think they look that mutant, like when it comes to severe deformities or being kind of like they're nowhere close to like the Wrong Turn hillbillies or anything like that. Like those people look fucked up, and these people just kind of look a little bit redneckish, kind of. For the most part, they look like humans. Like they look like humans that live in the desert, essentially, kind of like Mad Max style almost in the way they look. The gas station attendant, I love that. That is such a trope in horror films, and it's very tropey in here, just the style of him, how he looks. The gas station attendant is talking to Ruby, and Ruby is, some relation to him. Like, it feels like his daughter almost, but it's not. And you're wondering who this gas station attendant is. But yeah, she says she wants to leave and go somewhere, wherever that may be, and the gas station attendant's like, you wouldn't survive 2 days or 2 minutes outside of your family and stuff like that. And as characters started to show up, like I said, I had to kind of figure out who related to who, in a sense. Papa Jupiter, he's one of the more memorable ones. Obviously, the most memorable is Pluto, played by the infamous Michael Berryman, right over there. And but Pluto is, Jupiter. Papa Jupiter is definitely right on par when it comes to memorable character kind of thing. This film is also a product of its time, hardcore. The father of the family, Papa Bob or whatever, we'll just go with that. How hot-headed he is. He's always dropping like the GDs, the gosh darns. I don't like saying the word, but he's going on like just every single sentence. And then there's the time where they're already in the desert, they already have the flat tire, and he starts talking about he's in like the worst precinct of wherever town they came from, and he's like, I remember this time where I had a bunch of N-words shooting arrows at me, and I had this going on and that going on, and I still felt like I'm in a worse situation now than I ever was before as my entire duty as a cop. And I'm just like, okay, this clearly was written in 1977, and It's almost hard to tell if you're supposed to like root for this character or not, because he's just so slimy and eye-rolling, but he's part of the good guys and he's supposed to be the good guys. He does get killed off pretty fast in quite a gruesome and painful way, which I'm sure, again, watching this in 1977 is going to be a whole different experience than watching it now, because as an audience now, this film is actually quite tame. but I can see why this hit a lot of exploitation levels back when it came out, and it would have been a whole different experience when it came out, kind of thing. Again, with the sound design, I really like the cringy breathing, how you hear the mutants in the background, like kind of first person view, and they're like, so you can like imagine their like grossness and the way they're supposed to look. They almost sound more gross looking than they actually are. It was really good sound design with trying to give you the image in your head and the creep factor of these mutant creatures, mutant people, I guess. One of the weirdest scenes in this film, I will have to give it to, where the dad goes to get for help, and he goes to the gas station back to the attendant, and the attendant is preparing to hang himself, and he does. And then the dad walks in just in the nick of time, and Buddy's hanging there, and the dad's just like, "What are you doing, bud? You're supposed to be like doing your job," or something like that. His reaction is like very like kind of slap in the face, like get your shit together, and not like, oh my god, this guy's just trying to kill himself. Like there's no sympathy or worry or shock almost. He kind of just walks in and is like, "The fuck are you doing, man?" When you got this guy like literally hanging from the ceiling. He's like, "Man, what's wrong with you?" As if he like, I don't know, got a word wrong on his typewriter or some shit like that. Like it's just so nonchalant and just the strangest. And then they start conversating back and forth like he wasn't just hanging and about to kill himself. Very, very strange, very quirky, kind of probably on purpose by Wes Craven. Like scene, the way it played out, was really funny and really memorable. I do love the two dogs. You got Beauty and Beast. I like how they're named Beauty and Beast. And the Beauty death scene, again, it's something that's done a little bit subtly, but it's very horrific at the same time. Like dog deaths are always horrific, but they really, Wes Craven really gave it a touch that really plays with your emotions. And when Bobby finds the Beast's body, not Beast, Beauty, sorry, Beauty's body, mutilated like that in the hills. The only thing I didn't understand is why he kept it to himself. Like, you can tell he's in shock, and like, the scenes where he plays as if he's in shock, you can definitely tell that he's kind of in a mental state where he's very terrified, feeling very claustrophobic, very lost, completely confused. And you can tell his mental state is definitely distraught through like since he finds Beauty essentially, but he never like breaks the news to anybody, and it takes till like the third act before he finally tells Doug about the dead dog. Like it felt like it took forever for him to break that news, and it was something that was to me seemingly quite important. So I don't know why is like I know why, but it's still kind of strange why it took so long to talk about Beauty dying, kind of thing. Obviously, like I already mentioned, the death of the father is insanely horrific, like being burnt alive on a stake. It's actually done more effectively in the remake, like way more intense, but we're talking about, for the time of this film, it was still very, very intense, and everything that goes on in the trailer is great. I think actually, even though again in the remake it's done more intensely when it comes to the rape, when it comes to the guys trashing the trailer, it's amped up in the remake for sure, but in this one, again, because of that grindhouse feel, it just feels so raw and sickening. Like it really, really is well done. I think the last house on the left definitely wins when it comes to making you feel sick and wrong when it comes to the viewing experience. But this one does. It's a close second. It does a good job with the same themes, and the famous like parakeet scene where he takes the parakeet's head off and is just like squeezing the blood into his mouth. It's fucking disgusting. And the emotional distraught of the mom, played by, no, Dee Wallace player, sorry. Ethel was her name, right? I think. I am pretty bad with names in this film, so I do apologize when it comes to remembering everybody's names. I know Bobby and Doug, of course, and Papa Jupiter, the villains, Pluto, all of them, Ruth. But, Ruby, sorry, not Ruth, Ruby. See what I mean? I'm bad with names. Her literal, like, hitting insanity where she doesn't quite go catatonic, but she literally like doesn't even know where she is, and everybody's trying to like calm her down and like tell her stories and stuff like that, and she has no like recollection of like what is happening, what is going on. Basically, right after her husband gets burnt alive, so it's no surprise why she's in that state, but she really is in a catatonic, like a mind blank kind of state. Like when they put her to bed and everything, it's just really, really depressing stuff. And then it gets even worse when they actually use her corpse as bait, or like a way to bring the villains to the trailer, and they set up that whole trap and everything. I do really love seeing Papa Jupiter get dragged through the sand and the rocks with the car. I find that almost like unintentionally comedic. And of course it's beautifully satisfying because like you're just torturing the guy by dragging him through the sand, and it's dry as hell, so it's obviously going to be painful as hell. But there is like a little bit of an unintentional comedy to that scene, and there is a few times in this film. Again, maybe not unintentional at all. Maybe it was done on purpose, but there is slight moments sprinkled throughout of like black comedy, such as the gas attendant trying to commit suicide, and then friggin' the dad's like, "What's wrong with you?" Like very nonchalant with the situation going on. And I just love the desert landscape. Like it's really grindhouse. Like I'd love to see this film at a drive-in theater for a horror experience and a grindhouse experience. The grain is perfect. It really gives you that 70s feel. And many films do it, but not a lot of films give it that brilliance that this film does. And I think this is like one of the most memorable Wes Craven films. Obviously, it doesn't touch A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is my second favorite horror film of all time. But yeah, there's just a beautiful sense of nostalgia to this one. Of course, you get Dee Wallace in here, because what is Dee Wallace not in when it comes to horror? And really, really great stuff. I think the characters, at least most of them, are quite memorable. I like the arc, specifically with Doug, that they put him in, with the child and his wife being killed, and just the sense that he kind of like manned up in the whole situation after his wife's death, and his Ruby helping him out with the baby, his child, and kind of protecting the baby for him, and his like massive stab-a-thon at the end. I really, really liked how they capped the film off with that. And I'm not sure, maybe I've seen an alternate ending, because I know there isn't an alternate ending, but that's the only one I really remember, is him stabbing the shit out of the mutant guy, and then the screen going red. I can't really recall another ending besides that one. However, it ends the film beautifully, and I really think this is a fantastic horror experience that you really like feel the heat and feel the claustrophobia, kind of, even though it's a desert. But you get that hopeless sensation that this film is trying to deliver. So I think it did a really good job at that, and I think this is Wes Craven's first masterpiece in a sense, because I don't think he hit it with The Last House on the Left. I don't think it's a great movie, especially with the stupid comedy that makes no sense thrown into that film. It's just weird, but that's a lot of people's opinions. It's not just mine. This is like, it might as well be his directorial debut, because this is the one he mastered, I think. So yeah, that's The Hills Have Eyes. Stay tuned for the reviews on the rest of the films coming, because they all feel very different, and there's a lot to talk about with each of them and their specific feels and characteristics. So, but this is the one that definitely started it all. And if there's not a 4K for it yet, which I don't think there is, I hope to find one soon. So that's the Arrow release of The Hills Have Eyes, and go check it out if you haven't, because what are you doing watching this review if you haven't seen it? Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one, take care, and cheers.